It's no secret that drag is a big deal, but did you know that a typical racing speed of 40 kph, drag makes up 90% of resistance? It's therefore little surprise that manufacturers are going to great lengths in order to minimise it.
We've seen some pretty radical solutions recently, like Ribble have launched their really fat handlebars, haven't they? And whilst out on holiday in France, Liam found a Trek with an even more extreme approach.
This wasn't a holiday, thank you. I did work very hard. But yeah, the Trek, which is rumoured to be the new Madone aero bike, it's certainly interesting. Judging by how my phone's been going off, it's also divided opinion.
So if you haven't seen it already, then the new Madone looks a little like this. Most of the bike looks fairly familiar, but then we get to the seat tube contraption. Liam?
Well, I don't really know what you want me to say about it, seeing as you're the aerodynamicist, but yeah, it's effectively a big hole in the seat tube. Now, above that, there's what looks like a bit of a leaf spring built into the frame. Will any of it work? We're not sure, but it did look really cool. And the Trek PR people were really keen that we didn't look at it, or film it, or photograph it. Well, seeing as you're the expert and you know about this stuff, what's going on?
Well, firstly, let's go and take an aerodynamics basics class. Ooh. There's three main types of drag. Pressure drag, which is your frontal area and the weight you leave behind you. Skin friction drag, which is what it sort of sounds like, the clothing, your freshly shaved legs, how the air comes off of them. And then we've got shock drag, and we're not going to worry about that one, because even Wout van Aert's not going at the speed of sound.
Oh, really? Okay, I think I'm following along so far. We've got pressure drag and skin friction drag. Which one am I meant to be worried about?
Well, Liam, you can be less worried than most people, because A, you're small, and B, drag is exponential with speed. So
that's an aero bird.
There we go. Anyway, to answer your question, pressure drag is the one that you need to be worried about. Even the most aerodynamic cyclists are still fairly unaerodynamic as far as things are concerned, like an aerofoil or something like that. So we're going to refer to them as bluff bodies.
Right, okay, cool. Not buff bodies.
No, bluff bodies.
Right. So how can I reduce this pressure drag that I only just learned about?
Well, a lot of people think that the main cause is their frontal area, and to an extent, this is true. Right. However, it's your wake behind you that you've actually got to be quite worried about.
I can't even see that.
That's where all the drag comes from. No. So as you ride along, the flow of air separates around your body and your bike, and it forms this turbulent wake behind you, and a load of low pressure vortices.
Right, so that's what this picture shows, yeah?
Yes, yes, this is exactly what it's showing. So where do you think the most stagnant air is going to be?
Is it the blue bit?
Yes, correct. Brilliant.
Yes, that was a lucky guess. Well, it looks like that's in the spot where Trek, or just behind the spot where Trek have made this hole. So are they trying to solve that somehow?
Well, it does look that way, doesn't it?
So, yeah, it looks like they're trying to solve that somehow. Have you got any idea whether a hole there is going to work?
Well, without a wind tunnel and some CFD analysis, it is hard to say, but we can speculate.
Oh, well, I like speculation.
Exactly. So in front of the seat post and your legs, normally there's quite a lot of stagnant air. Okay. And stagnant air slows you down.
We don't want the stagnant air.
We don't want stagnant air.
Right.
So that then forces its way around your legs whilst you're pedaling. Okay. And that's going to make a really big wake. And if we can get rid of that air somehow, i.e. through a hole, then that could be a good thing.
Okay, so it will be really interesting, I think, to see what Trek comes out with when they finally reveal some details, because that bike was on display at the Dauphiné for one day, and then it disappeared. So we were quite lucky to get all of that video and, you know, the first look. They haven't told us anything about it yet.
I think we can expect some fairly major aero claims.
Really?
Ideally, we'd like some independent wind tunnel data.
Now that would be something for the cycling industry.
It really would.
Well, surely, I mean, to my non-aero mind, surely they've run some simulations on this.
Yes, they will have ran loads of CFD simulations, but they can't always be 100% reliable. So hopefully they've done some wind tunnel time as well.
Yeah.
Formula One's a great example of how CFD doesn't always work. This season we've seen the cars porpoising, going like that, down all the straights.
I was about to say, what is porpoising?
They're not meant to do that.
Are they not meant to bounce?
No, and they've got the best software in the world for CFD analysis and still can't. It's not 100% reliable, is what I'm trying to say.
So is F1 where some of this tech comes from?
Yeah, this could be a DRS flap. Imagine that, if it had a flap on it.
Should we start? I know we said we were going to do some speculating, but should we stop speculating about
that might
DRS
be too
in
far.
cycling?
Yes.
Yeah. So from what Jamie is saying, it seems like the rider is being considered in this bike design. Have we seen anything else like that?
Well, typically the rider actually makes up 70% of the complete system drag.
Wow, so that's a lot.
The rider is, that's why an aerodynamic position is so important. But yeah, bike design, you used to see that they'd just design an aerodynamic bike,
Yeah.
which was neither here nor there.
Right.
Whereas recently we've seen, like Ribble, for example, they've considered the rider and the bike in one.
Yeah.
And the Hope track bike,
Yep.
that's got some really funky seat stays.
Yeah, and forks. They're huge.
Yeah, so that's about trying to channel the air around the rider.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily more aerodynamic by itself, but it is when the rider's on it, which is the important bit. Bikes normally have riders on.
Yeah. Do they? Finally.
There we go. Useful information.
Well, I don't know about you at home, but I think I've actually learnt something today.
Nice.
Well, I've certainly learnt another thing that I have to be worried about. So thanks for that. I really needed another thing in my life. If you've got any questions for Jamie, pop them down in the comments.
Please
yes, yes. If you want him to speculate about more bikes, give this a like. We will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.